Hi, it's Paul from Model Build International. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button down there. That way you'll get notified of future videos, be they reviews, builds and the occasional giveaway. Today we're going to have a look at a kit from Platz. This is a double boxing of their 1/44 scale N1K2. The N1K2-J started off life as a floatplane fighter design, but with Japan's, should say, shrinking real estate, there was no need for this anymore. So basically somebody at Kawanishi came with the idea, let's take the floatplane, the float off the bottom, stick some undercarriage on it, and we should have something half decent. And that's exactly what happened. They had a pretty decent aircraft. The N1K1 had the wings in the middle of the fuselage, which led to really long undercarriage legs and the problems you can sort of expect with that, and a few technical problems as well. Then they basically fixed it. They moved the wing to the bottom of the fuselage, fixed technical issues, although they never really got rid of them all, and that gave them the N1K2. And that was arguably about the best Japanese fighter of the war. With a trained pilot, it could hold its own against the Hellcat and the Corsair, and they all went to the 343rd Kokutai, or what's that group, basically, which had a lot of really good pilots in it, just to make the most of it. But yeah, it was a very good aircraft, just too late. Okay, so let's see what we get in the box. Start off. Shindenkai N1K2-J George, 1/44 scale, decals by cartograph, 2 planes in the box. Nice cover art, and you can see it is a K2 because the wing is mounted at the bottom of the fuselage. Looks like decals for the canopy. Bits in the back. 5 decal options on the back there. Pretty bright orange one, and then the usual sort of greenish ones. So let's have a look inside, see what you get. So, quick look at the instructions. Single double-sided sheet of colour glossy paper. This side, paint's obviously marked throughout for the bits you won't be able to get to later. Got basic cockpit, fuselage halves together, engine, wings, 2 separate tops, so single bottom wing, fuel tank, legs. Step 5, put the big bits together. Step 6, painting and applying decals. Step 7, attaching the small bits on the end, and then you're done. And then over here we've got the five painting schemes. Decals for the canopy framing again, which really a bit of a bonus, as long as it works, of course, since using tape to frame or to mask 1/44 canopies is a bit time consuming and tiring on the eyes. And colours called out in Mr. Colour Model Master. So it's pretty good. We'll have a closer look at those in a second. Here's the decal sheet. See, there's the canopy framing, and we'll have a close look at that in a second as well. Just open this up. Single bag. Canopies are bagged separately inside. So I'll just open this. Okay, so here's obviously 2 identical sprues. It's the sort of size of the aircraft you're going to end up with, quite small. But then again, what do you expect for 1/44th? Looks like I can see there's recessed panel lines on here, some other details as well. Propeller, as expected, the instrument panel has very little detail on it. Other than that, the undercarriage legs seem to have some nice bits on it, tail wheel, recessed detail for the radiators on the nose there. There's some simple detail inside the cockpit. There isn't actually a seat by the looks of it, it's just everything's in two halves in there. That looks pretty neat. We'll have a close look in a second, and there'll be loads of photos on the website as well. And then there's the canopy, which yeah, some decals might be nice just to frame that. A decal will certainly be better than any taping I can do. So it's been good. Let's have a close look at the instructions and a closer look at some of the parts. In this scale I can see evidence of 4 new toolings that have been created. 2 from the 70s and 2 recent ones. Ari's kit from 73 was reboxed a couple of times by other companies, and LS's kit from 76 was reboxed by another company. F-Toys and Platz are the 2 recent toolings. They've only been used by their respective companies. And Platz's tooling first came into light 2006, about the same time as F-Toys, and this is the 4th boxing of it. Okay, so the build is in 7 steps, although step 6 is painting and decals. So we start off with putting the 2 fuselage halves together, trapping the control column, instrument panel and seat in between the 2 halves. Not a great deal of detailing here. You could spruce it up, but somebody would have to have a flashlight and be looking really closely to actually see anything. Down to step 2 and putting the engine inside the cowling. Some actually quite nice detail on that engine, and overall there's nice detail sort of in most places on this kit actually. Across to step 3, putting the wings together, single piece lower wing, 2-part upper wing. Again, nice recessed panel lines. There's some recessed holes where the empty casings would be ejected. Down to step 4, you get a 2-part fuel tank, a couple of parts to attach to the aircraft. Undercarriage legs, 1-part undercarriage leg and an undercarriage door and the wheel. Then up to top right and step 5, basically putting most of the big parts together, the fuselage, the wings, the cowling, tailplane's gone at this stage. Essentially it's all together, and there's still quite nice detail on this, recessed panel lines, plenty to work with. Step 6 is the painting and applying decals. I'll talk about that in a second. Step 7, putting all the small bits on. Canopy and propeller, and then attaching the undercarriage. And then pretty much you're done. And now talk a little bit about paints and decals. You get 5 decal options. The first one's pretty colourful. It's a prototype. An interesting yellowy orange colour. For me that would be sort of an easy one to choose. The other 4 are the usual green over grey. They were all the fighters were all the same fighter group, and the last one is just a number off the production line. Interestingly, you get for the green ones you get decals to do the canopy, so it'll be interesting to see how they work. The canopy for option A is the yellow-orange colour, and you don't have to do decals for that. Don't have decals for that one, so you'll have to mask it instead, which is sometimes a bit of a pain in this scale. Colours are all culled out in Mr. Colour Model Master. They're also culled out during the build for places where you won't be able to get at them later. So, an overall conclusion. Platz is one of the modern 1/44th scale kits in this aircraft. It's a pretty neat aircraft. Nice that there's 2 in the box. So it should look pretty neat. There's nice detail on this. There's nicely subtly recessed panel lines. Exhaust detail is there. There's plenty to work with from doing panel line washes and so on. Many thanks to Platz for sending it along for us to have a look at.